Attention, attention. Stand by for an emergency broadcast. Yes, the White Hats are coming. Red alert, the White Hats are coming, Scott. Holy shimoly, what's going on there, Scott? That was like some mad, like, emergency transmission coming from another world, perhaps. Another dimension, another time. Who knows?
I that was very dramatic. That was a very climactic intro, my friend.
I actually felt like we had planned that. Now, Scott, you know, we don't plan anything here. I'm actually quite surprised at myself. I want to give myself a pat on the back. Usually when I try and do something like that, it goes horribly wrong. But I think it worked tonight. And I get some kind of, it must be my signaler background that is picking up on these transmissions. I can feel an open channel, Scott. I think during the broadcast today, we may be interrupted by other emergency transmissions. I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying.
Well, you know, the info is always coming in from an unnamed source. And, you know, secret contacts are always making, yes. So,
yep.
Could be more emergency transmissions.
First rule of KBS weekend. Don't tell anybody about KBS weekend. That'd be a stupid rule to have, because then we would never get any bigger, right? Tell everybody about KBS weekend. Yes, indeed. So how you doing, man? How you doing since last night's, let me just say, oh, what a barnstormer of a Freaky Friday. As I've put in the description, that's one that'll live in my memory for a long time, Scott. That took me back to the early days of getting in the saddle and just going with the flow, man.
Yeah, that was definitely reminiscent of some of the very old school episodes of Freaky Friday where it was like every topic we just hit it. It just seemed like it flowed really, really good. So
big shout out to the chat room for that. You know, we crowdsourced a lot of those topics yesterday. I think I'll be going back to that trough again. I'll be drinking from the well of the pre-Freaky Friday show from now on, folks. I think I'm going to make that a staple of the Freaky Friday KBS brand. Definitely.
What was it coined last night? The Chalice of Woo?
The Chalice of Woo. I think I'm going to have to get to work on the Photoshop, and the Chalice of Woo at some point is going to become an emoji if we get enough members. I'm talking of members before we launch into what is going to be hopefully quite a fun, light-hearted, hilarious look around the corner at 2020 with a twist. If you would like to support the channel, and I know it's near Christmas, but if you would, please consider becoming a member. We get to unlock all these crazy emojis. We've got AOC, we've got our good friend Popeye, who Scott will be making a comeback soon. I'll hear from Scott about that in just a moment. But I would love for you to come along. I'm looking at lots of extra things coming in the near future for members to be on the lookout for. Lots of new crazy twists and adventures around the corner. Watch this space. And if you want to be a part of that in the VIP lounge tomorrow on Sunday, all you got to do, click the join button. And with it being Christmas, if you're feeling that festive cheer, we've also got the PayPal in the description as well. That's that out the way, Scott. Popeye was showing you the size of his new tool today, wasn't he?
Yeah, that sounded a little more disturbing than
it was meant to.
Yes. Popeye has acquired a new computer, and he's got quite a beast of a rig. I'm actually kind of jealous.
I must admit, when he was explaining to me, dual graphics card, 32 gigabits of RAM. Yeah, it looks like the kind of thing that probably Geordie Rose has lying under his bed. You know, before he fires up the new D-Wave.
It was graciously donated to him by somebody he knew, and it was used as a crypto mining rig, among other things. But it is a hell of a computer. So Popeye is in the process of getting the battleship DTRH back in the saddle. And
I was thinking we could get he actually deserves the new world order for the battleship going out. That's the message I got from Popeye. He said to me, he said, Baker, battleship tests. Once it's seaworthy, I'll be back in the trenches. So that was what Popeye was saying to me.
Yeah, and he's totally he's almost there. He's going to be back on the scene here pretty soon. And boy, I don't know if the people are prepared for Popeye to.
I think we need Popeye. I think we need to go back to the past to protect us.
That's what I'm saying.
For the future, we need more logical yet very open-minded individuals to guide us through the apocalypse, like we try to do here, Scott.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if this current generation of people are prepared for the glorious return of Popeye, because
I wouldn't imagine.
It's been a while. It's been a while since he's been on the scene, and let's just say things have gotten a little more woke since he's been on air. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Things have
good.
Definitely changed, right? It's like I would compare it to, you know, last computing when you were using a Commodore 64 and then jumping onto the D-Wave that Geordie Rose has got. So much has been the change. It used to be the Wild West, Scott. You know that. It's a term that's used a heck of a lot when it comes to the internet, but there was a time when it was literally just everything goes, you know?
It truly was the Wild West for a long time. I say the time frame between like 1998 ish 1998 to around 2005-ish. I consider that the golden age of the internet. The true Wild West time frame of the internet. And we'll never experience anything like that again, I don't think. I mean, the closest you can get to something like that would be if you're brave enough to just jump on the dark web, you know, because...
Not brave enough, don't know enough about what I'm doing, and probably fall victim to some kind of scam where everything I almost don't have would then become somebody else's.
Yeah, the thing is that, you know, the dark web is the true Wild West right now. I mean, it's the last vestige of true...
Our last bastion of hope, Scott.
Of true freedom on the net, and obviously with that comes the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? I mean, because... you have to be careful about where you're going on the dark web and all of that stuff, but it really is it's the only thing I can compare to that initial Wild West way that the internet was at you know, in its beginnings, or when it just started to kind of really take hold. But
when I were a lad, yes indeed.
Yes.
But no, you know, you could say so, Scott, and I know we're going to get into these stories in a minute, but it kind of ties in, you know, because the internet technology, back in the day, these predictions were made that one day we would become interconnected and we'd be able to share ideas. And listening to one of the guests that I've had on the Kev Baker show before, a great guy, he's the social media lawyer, his name's Ian Corzine. And he really had me encapsulated watching his last couple of videos, because he really he was really putting a lot of kind of connecting a lot of dots, and it made a lot of sense, Scott, because you're talking about the Wild West days there when it first came out, and everyone jumping online, and now what, 3.5 billion people all online, and we've been used to this almost free ride, right? You know, get people hooked on it, give it away for free. That Wild West, get the addiction going, and then eventually, though, like any marketing scam, basically, you get your consumers hooked, and you whack everything. You whack a price on it all, and you can see more and more where this kind of model's been adopted, not singling out any website, but just in general, Scotty. Social media in particular as well, you know, to get those likes that you used to get in the early days, now you have to pay £5 to reach all of those people in the first place. And are they even genuine likes, or are you know, you're just dopamined up, man. We're all at certain levels addicted now.
You get everyone hooked to it, right? And then once they're hooked, that's when you start, like you said, start hammering them with the, you know, where they got to start paying a little bit more for this, paying a little bit more for that, and then on top of it, you start implementing restrictions, and you start to control it a little bit more, and next thing you know, it's really not what it was when they first got hooked, right? And it's
Just
like
saying, just saying.
it's like getting somebody hooked to a nice new drug, right? And then as they're hooked to it, oh, I'm going to start cutting it with something, you know? They're still hooked to it. They still want that rush, but now
you'll still take it.
They'll still take it now, but it's a diluted, you know, it's a diluted product, and that's what the internet has become. It's become all squeaky clean and sanitized, and you know, people's speech has become restricted on it now, and it truly is not the Wild West it once was. People are still addicted.
We're all little mice, Scott, spinning on a digital wheel. That's all we are, dude. It's all we are. But folks, please do me a solid. Check out Ian, please. He is really, really good when it comes to all the changes on YouTube, all the rules, on social media in general. Not only that, he's one of the most approachable characters I've come across in all the time I've been on YouTube. Really, really nice guy. And yeah, I'm so glad to see his channel. He's on 52,000 or 53,000 subs now. I think he had about 8,000, Scott, when I first got Ian on. So he's definitely working hard, but the production value, the information, and like I say, with COPPA and everything else out there, you would be, I think maybe, you know, it'd be idiotic if you're a creator not to keep in touch with somebody like Ian Corzine.
Yeah, I mean, to have that kind of knowledge of somebody who's got that sort of legal insight,
Yeah.
and you know, and to really understand what a lot of these changes to like the terms of service and all of that stuff is that these companies implement, and what it truly means for people. Because let's be honest, a lot of people don't read those long terms of service agreements or these changes to their, you know, and they implement these changes pretty often, right? I mean, at least what, 2-3 times a year.
Well, me and my mum, we played at Scrabble, as you know. Last night went to play Scrabble, Scott, and my tiles, it looked like some kind of spell out of Harry Potter's bloody magic book. So it did. I tell you, it was, needless to say, didn't win, right? But yeah, every couple of days, you know, I think it's Zynga, one of these companies, we've updated our terms of service, and it's constant. And like you say, it's, I mean, we all do it, except, you know, just get us in there. We want in there. Stop it. That's inconvenient.
And what choice do you have? Because if you don't accept the terms of service, well, you can't continue using the service.
It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, Scott, what's around the corner in 2020, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it does make you wonder what's coming. And myself and Scott, we will share some of our predictions for next year, some of our trends that we see out there in the ether. We may get a transmission from the other side. There's something going on over there, Scotty. They've gone radio silent right now. There's an operation underway. I think it involves tunnels or something. We'll need to get an update on that later on, Scott, right? But 2020, and I found a really brilliant article that myself and Scott have only read yay much of because Scott said it tonight. Don't do it, Kev. Let's do it raw. Myself and Scott, we do it raw or not at all. So we're going to see all of this for the first time together. And if the first two are anything to go by, Scott, oh dearie me, but this is wow.
This is going to be an interesting list, to say the least, you know, and it does give you some really good insight of what people imagined the future would be like and how things really didn't play out the way that they thought.
Thankfully. As we'll see in a minute, folks, I'm very grateful things didn't play out this way. And that's only 2 we've seen out of 23 hilarious predictions. So are you ready to get a load of this? This is good. Let's do it. This comes from Bob Larkin on bestlifeonline.com. So it's hard to imagine that we're almost living in 2020. We get the script. We know what you're going to say here. You're going to give us predictions for 2020, right? So these are predictions, though, folks, as we'll see, that have been made in the past about people projecting forward. You know how Arthur C. Clarke, Scotty, brought the video. I think it was you that shared that with me the first time I seen it, Scott, about his vision of the future city and everything. And it's uncanny, dude. Uncanny how close he gets it. But this is the kind of thing we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, just sort of what futurists and think tanks and just people back in the day, you know, what they thought would come to fruition by the time 2020 arrived, and it's pretty interesting stuff. You know, pretty wild.
And yes, it is almost Christmas, folks. Yeah, I'm one of these old-fashioned dudes that does Christmas, and I love Santa. His big beard, I just love it. But I will be having an unnamed gentlemanly drink tonight, Scott. Yes, all the way from is it not Tennessee?
Tennessee, yes.
Indeed.
A gentlemanly drink from Tennessee.
It's not a drinking game. No, it's not a drinking game. I'm predicting what's going to be said in the chat in a moment. We'll get Kev to play some silly drinking game. No, we won't. No, we won't. Look at that. I used my prophecy there. I looked into my crystal balls, Scott, and I said no more. No.
You know, I mean, if we had Popeye on, we could do the old drinking game that we used to do, where every time you said logical fallacy, you
ding. We need the bell.
Ding.
We definitely need the bell. If Popeye's making a comeback, we need the bell. We might even need to get some kind of like GIF or graphic with like some kind of magic rabbit's foot with a bell on it. Just something, you know. Huh? You see? Oh, I was about to take said refreshment without putting in yet another unnamed liquid source. Can't be going there, Scott. No product placement, nothing at all here, Trips. No.
See, Kev knows how to run a smooth stream.
Yeah, smooth stream here, yep. It wouldn't be anything to do with a pesky soft drink that's very infamous for its Christmas ads. But anyway, Here we go. No, I'm definitely not getting paid by them. Somebody actually gave me the email address to get in touch with Red Bull, Scott. Like it's for like partnerships where they send you the little fridge and shit.
Well, I mean, look, you've already slipped into the mothership.
Oh,
go all the way.
Indeed, I knew it was coming.
Well, of course.
Ding.
Ding.
Oh no. Uh-oh. So then, number one, first up, that human feet would become one big toe. Yes, indeed. And I think we need a little bit of music in the background for this, Scott. Definitely. What do you think? Nah, I don't like that one because that makes me think it's a super chat coming in. Let me see. There we go. That'll do for the background. There you go. Is that all right, Scott? Nice levels. We okay?
Down just a little.
Down just a bit. There we go. Perfect. Perfectamundo. So then, yes, folk. Here we go. Wow. Human feet will become one big toe. Now, before we read this, Scott, I say that if our current addiction to thumb-operated mobile devices is anything to go by, very soon the biggest organ, or it might even be an organ, will have thrombosis. That's what I think is coming.
I think that was one of these things that was projected in the future from now, is that like our hands would somehow evolve into some giant typing machine, thumb typing machine or something.
Humongous thrombus syndrome.
Humongous thumb.
And folks, this isn't like comedy. So what it says here is, so what's going to happen? Oh, hang on now. I need to be very careful here now. I need to be very careful. Hang on. Wait now, Scott. I don't want to be giving away the game too early, you know? So I'll keep an eye on it. It says here, once I get it sorted. Oh, come on. Come on, Baker. Amateur hour. Come on. There we go, Scott. There we go. Look. So, what's going to happen to our feet, or more specifically, our toes in 2020? In a lecture at the Royal College of Surgeons of England in 1911, a surgeon by the name of Richard Clement Lucas made a prediction that the useless outer toes will become used less and less, so that, quote, man might become a one-toed race. This little piggy would get a whole lot shorter. Dang.
A one-toed race.
Would we have how would you have balanced on a toe? I'd be like, if you can't stand a pen up on its nib, you're gonna fall over, dude. It's not happening.
I mean, you would have the rest of your foot, I guess, just minus the other toes.
Just a big, maybe just a big round flat foot with
one
big toenail on the end of it.
Now, the big toe is the most important toe for balance, though.
Yeah.
So,
is it not true that if you lose that, then you've got problems with walking? I think it is, isn't it? Because of the balance issues.
I have a friend who, when he was younger, he had an accident with a lawnmower, cut his big toe off. Yeah, he was mowing. You know, it was just an old school push mower, and he slipped, and he slipped, and his foot slid under the mower, and but he has managed to he adapted, and he can walk just fine and keep his balance and everything. But he said it was really hard though, you know, to because that's, like I said, that was the most important, you know, that's the most important toe for balance stuff.
Like, looking at that foot there, right? Doesn't it just look like a really kind of like something went wrong with hand DNA? Doesn't it? They're like little fingers on there, man. It's like, you know what I'm saying, dude? At some point, you can definitely, I don't know, man. That's weird. I'm not a feet dude. I'm not a feet dude at all.
Me neither.
No.
Me neither. I never understood that whole.
Hey, if feet's your thing, you crack on, and if you can find some consenting person to let you fiddle about with their feet, all well be it. But don't fiddle my feet, and don't be bringing your feet anywhere near me. Holy shamoly, man.
I think that's one of the reasons why a certain object became so.
Yeah, yeah. The vision.
The Bajaja. I'm just gonna call it
Vajiji.
the Bajichi.
Imagine a Christmas one with tinsel around it and a sparkling lights down the front. Nicely turned like this one, obviously. Dang, dude, dang. They're like trotters, man. You don't do that kind of stuff. Right, so, anyway, next up. And this is as far as me and Scott got, because we both looked at each other as if to say, when did they say that and who said that? Check this out. Number 2, we'll have ape chauffeurs. In 1994, the RAND Corporation, a global think tank that for any information seeker, your mind's going right now, wah, wah, wah. Red alert, red alert. A global think tank that's contributed to the space program and the development of the internet. See how it all links together, Scott? Said they expected us to have animal employees by 2020. How cool's that, big fella, before we get going, though? I know, I'm assuming gender, but as far as I know so far, the gorillas and things, they haven't had any of these issues. Gorillas know exactly what they are, and ain't no messing with them. Hey. Nope.
No, you definitely don't want to be pummeled by a gorilla. Just saying.
Whoa, man. See, like, if animals did decide, see if they just, like, turned around one day, looked at each other and said, you know what, I've had enough of this. You know what, we're done. Because imagine these charging at you on the back of rhinoceros. Imagine that, dude.
Yeah.
I've thought about this. See, I've thought about this scenario, Scott. I've thought about the animal apocalypse scenario. Anytime I see an animal, I always give it a little wink. I send it out lots of love, because one day, dude, one animal might recognize me and say that, oh, leave him alone. That boy threw me a bit of bread one day at the window and that. Telling you, man.
I mean, we've all seen Planet of the Apes, haven't we?
Scotty, if the RAND Corporation are planning on training the things to work for us, we are at the point of an animal rebellion. Trust me, dude. Trust me.
What's wild about this prediction is that it was done in '94. I mean, if you look at it in the context of a lot of this stuff, I mean, that's a pretty recent prediction.
Well, let me do the rest of it, right? Because I've got a quote here, Scotty, okay? It says, the RAND panel mentioned that by the year 2020, it may be possible to breed intelligent species of animals, such as apes, that will be capable of performing manual labor. And that's Glenn T. Seaborg, and he wrote of the corporation's predictions in his book, Scientist Speaks Out. Now, quote, during the 21st century, those houses that don't have a robot in the broom closet could have a live-in ape to do the cleaning and gardening chores. Also, the use of well-trained apes as family chauffeurs might decrease the number of automobile accidents. Yikes. Who's going to tell them? Imagine,
They were thinking that they were going to train apes to drive you around?
Scotty, the RAND Corporation. This isn't like National Enquirer, Onion News stuff. These people, like, do war and stuff, you know?
But the thing is, it almost seems like the RAND Corporation sort of regurgitated what L. Ron Hubbard not L. Ron Hubbard, the dude back in the 60s, Arthur C. Clarke, not L. Ron Hubbard. We were thinking Scientology.
I thought we were going to get into the creepy, crazy world of that. I was going to,
no.
Scott, yes, indeed.
Arthur C. Clarke said the same thing, though, back in the 60s, that we would have apes and animals that were going to be serving humans. And so this just kind of sounds like the RAND Corporation maybe bringing that back up, or
remember, Scott, remember Arthur C. Clarke connected to the groups, the think tanks, the social engineers of that time, and in the modern time, this is a think tank that's got their finger on the same pulse that Arthur C. Clarke did. The agenda hasn't changed.
Ooh. And that New Order music kicked in right whenever you...
Stand by, radio silence. They're still in the middle of it, Scott. I've heard there's some kind of, almost, it's as if there's a freak storm. Now I'm hearing about freak storm and tunnels. I don't know what's going on, Scott. I'm thinking there might even be kill brackets on the horizon. I don't know, dude.
But what is crazy about this though? So you know, the Rand Corporation made this kind of wild prediction, right? But we are talking about the same Rand Corporation that wrote a white paper called "Rebuilding America's Defenses." And I'm not going to get too deep into what that was all about, but you know, let's just say that they ended up kind of projecting and predicting something that ended up happening at the beginning of the turn of the century that was very significant.
Yeah, and it might sound a bit out there, the whole animals working for humans type of scenario, but it mentions the robots in there as well. And then we're going to have this splitting of the species soon as well, when people like start body hacking themselves and augmenting themselves and 2.0.
In a way, it kind of isn't crazy, because now that we have CRISPR technology and all of this gene splicing stuff going on, I mean that's really where they kind of said where this was going, you know, because of genetics and all of that. So
2020 see the first spider goats invasion, actual literal spider goats. Maybe that's just around the corner, dude. An army of spider goats with frogs that are really, really light on their bouncers. You know. The one in the Texan command center you get it.
Floaty frogs.
Yes, indeed. Number 3, we'll be living in flying houses.
Wow.
So let's see when they said this. Oh, it's our friend, Arthur, inventor, science writer, and futurist, and also not the kind of guy that I personally would have gone for a drink with, Arthur C. Clarke, who co-wrote the screenplay for 2001: A Space Odyssey, believed that the boring houses of 1966 would be radically different by the time we reached the 21st century, according to Inverse. Evidently, the houses of the future would have nothing keeping them on the ground, and they would be able to move anywhere on Earth on a whim. Or it wouldn't just be the one home that would be able to relocate without the owner even needing to get out of bed and put pants on. Quote, whole communities may migrate south for the winter. Oh, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Fire up the engines, man. Just take off and head for sunnier climes, Scott. Park yourself on a beach somewhere. Damn, dude.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. Flying cities. Oh, wait. Remember the ghost cities in the sky over China? Do we already have floating cities?
Maybe. You know what is interesting though is that we are starting to see a resurgence of the airship. The Zeppelin, if you will. That's starting to make a pretty big comeback, actually, and I think going forward we're going to start to see a lot of these airships flying around again, much like we did back in the 30s, you know, because after the Hindenburg, that was kind of like, we're not going to do that anymore, and the whole blimp thing was much smaller blimps for like reconnaissance and you know, then you had like your Goodyear blimp covering like sporting events and stuff like that. But there is this resurgence of bringing back like the flying hotel situation and like packing a bunch of people on a huge airship. And
wouldn't be me. Not me. I'll wave at you.
So maybe Arthur C. Clarke maybe was onto something. Maybe we're gonna see like this resurgence of airship travel and like people, flying hotels and maybe people even living on some of these things.
You
Who
know,
knows?
there's a lot of talk about sustainable floating cities, Scott. I think Peter Thiel, I think he's got one of the startup companies that are into that. He talks about that, right? I think that's a cool, novel idea.
I actually, yeah, I like the idea of it because once you reach a certain altitude, you're not affected by the winds of storm systems underneath. It's the air and the atmosphere is extremely stable. Like, so you're not
what
having.
about floating cities on the water? Would you go for that?
Oh, the floating cities on in the ocean.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, you know. I'm sure it's Peter Thiel that's into that.
I like the idea of it, but I think they need to think about some of the issues that may arise as far as like typhoons and hurricanes and stuff like that. Would these floating cities be able to handle being hit by a massive storm or something?
Oh dude, sorry. Patrick in the chat room. From one Patrick to another Patrick. Patrick says 60s show Flipper. Oh my word. What a show. Anyone that doesn't like Flipper, I tell you, they're not the kind of person. If you go on a couple of first dates and things and it comes up that Flipper's an issue, I don't know why Flipper would come into the conversation, Scott, but people that don't like dolphins, I think there's something wrong with these people. I'm only joking, but Flipper was cool, dude. Everyone,
yeah,
Flipper and Lassie. Although Lassie, it always used to pull in the old heartstrings, that dude. Oh, dang, dude.
What is it, Lassie? Jimmy fell down the well.
And every time, dude, every time I used to always fall for it. I always used to think, oh no, Lassie's never going to make it home, or Lassie's done this time. And then there was another one over here. People in the UK and people in Australia would definitely remember this. It was called The Last Hobo. Or was it The Littlest Hobo or The Last Hobo? And it was this dingo that used to go from town to town. It was these stories about this crazy dingo. Brilliant. I don't know what we're talking about, Scott. It's funny. We're not in flying houses. Move on, right? Is that what we're saying here? Before we get into some nostalgic journey down my childhood programs, including The Love Boat, may I add. Number 4. Number 4, obviously approved for by the hashtag White Hats. And our houses will be cleaned by hoses. But what? The New York Times long-time science editor Waldemar Kampfert, and we're going to hear some cracking German accent before we leave today, folks. We've got an emergency transmission from Rudolph, not the reindeer, hashtag white alien, who worked for the paper from the 1920s through the 1950s, had lots of opinions about how different the world would be by the 21st century. In a 1950s Popular Mechanics article titled Miracles You'll See in the Next 50 Years, he predicted that by the 21st century, Scott, all you'll have to do to get your house clean is, quote, simply turn your hose on everything. Hey?
Like, everything inside the house?
That's because imagine that furniture would be made of a synthetic fabric or waterproof plastic. Well, after the water has run down the drain in the middle of the floor, very sustainable and environmentally friendly, may I say, later concealed by a rug of synthetic fibre made by the hair of hashtag Greta, all you have to do is, quote, turn on a blast of hot air to dry everything, Scott. What about not so resilient material, you ask? Just throw soiled linen into the incarcerator. Yes. No, incarcerator, look.
Oh, incarcerator. What?
For once I got it right, Scott. I find this, how weird is this, right? One libation seems to improve my elocution skills. Dear Watson.
Very interesting.
No, that could be a something that turns you into an alcoholic rapidly, the amount of streams I do. Yeah, I'll just have a whiskey every time. Every time I go to stream, I'll just have a gentleman. Oh, that could end up fatal, Scott. Fatal.
It could. It definitely could.
Shall we go on? Shall we go on?
Actually, though, yeah, before we go on, though, I think this is something, though, that we actually could do, though. Like, if we really wanted to make a room just with spray off furniture, we could do it, right? I mean, we have plastic chairs. We could make plastic sofas, plastic tables, and
Scott, this sounds like
and
the perfect chamber. And I say chamber knowingly for some really testosterone-filled 18-year-old gamer. Somewhere you could just go in with a hose and just wash it out, because trust me, living with one of these individuals, I wish I could just go in and mop it, whoosh, hose it out of there, man. What is it with teenage boys, man? What is it?
we were
Dude.
all there. We were all teenage boys.
I know, but now I'm the parent, and I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it, but
Yeah.
what was going on in my head back then, man? And I don't know. I don't know.
There was speaking. I'm going to speak for most probably males of that age at that time. There probably was only one thing going through our head at the time.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I don't think cleaning the room was really high on that list.
Scott, is your camera frozen?
Oh, maybe.
No, it's back now.
There-
It's back now. There you are.
It's back.
Oh, you glitched
Okay.
in the Matrix. You're a glitch in the Matrix.
I did.
Talking about
There was.
glitches in the Matrix, folks. I don't know how many people have probably already watched this. I came kind of late to the party, but Man in the High Castle. Oh, wow. If you like the kind of topics we talk about on Freaky Friday with multiverses and Mandelas and all that kind of time woo, check out The Man in the High Castle and prepare. It just gets one of these shows, Scott, every season that goes on, instead of tapering off and playing out slowly, it gets better and better and better. And dude, you're talking about maps and multiverse and oh man.
I've seen some stuff about the show, and it does kind of have me intrigued, so I might have to check it out.
Well, imagine world events played out an entirely different way in another verse, like the multiverse would be, Scott. In one version of that, of where we are now, the bad guys won, right?
Yep.
And this is dude, oh man, I tell you, it makes you think about things that are going on today. That's why I like shows like this, and I really doff my cap to some of the producers out there. I don't know who done that show, but usually it's J.J. Abrams. He pulls from real science and stuff, Scott, and that's why sometimes you think, you clever, because you can tell that he gets it. And that's why it's not programming at that point. That's where you see the hidden gems and what's coming around the corner. Talking about coming around the corner, number 5, you ready for this? And this is a thing. This is a thing. We'll eat candy made of underwear. Although I would say probably people eat underwear made of candy, right? I think if you're you can go to Victoria's Secret and Ann Summers and places that I've heard of. I've never ever been there before. Naughty places of ill repute. You wouldn't catch a man like me going in there, Scott. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But allegedly, and I hope none of them look like this, because the pair in the middle looks soiled. Because you ain't eating that pair in the middle if that was made of candy, right? Meh. So it says here, in the same Popular Mechanics article, oh no, it's Camper. Yes, the bad guy. He's not a bad guy. Why am I saying that? Stop it. Predicted that.
Camphert.
Yes, exactly. Just because I can't pronounce the guy's name, I just condemn him as a bad guy. That's on me. It's not on Camphert. Predicted that all food would be delivered to our homes in the form of frozen bricks by the 21st century. Cooking as an art is only a memory in the minds of old people, he wrote. A few diehards still broil a chicken or roast a leg of lamb, but the experts have developed ways of deep freezing partially baked cuts of meat, and
Well, I mean, hey, he's really not wrong.
yeah.
People throw frozen dinners in the microwave. Aren't those basically frozen bricks of food?
Yep. No, I'm with you.
So I
Okay.
mean, he really wasn't that far off. I mean, people just throw in like a frozen burrito or a frozen dinner or something like that. Just pop it in the microwave and.
Scott, this is how we roll here, right? We're doing this story about this here, and I'm keeping an eye in the chat room. And we throw in things like the Man in the High Castle, and that's got Bill thinking about the X-Files now. You see, this is how the Kev Baker Show weekend works, you know. It might seem a bit innocuous, a bit harmless on the way in the door, but you never know what truth bombs are coming your way. And remember, we're still awaiting emergency transmissions from the other side, from the other verse, Scott.
That white hat music just kicked on, actually.
I know.
So.
It's almost as if maybe it's like they're conducting Operation Candy Pants. Maybe that's the name of what's going on right now. So we'll go live to Operation Candy Pants by the end of the show. I reckon that term probably should get you demonetized. If it doesn't, it probably will now. So if you want to support the stream, please feel free to do so. But number 6, Scotty, right? Because I really don't want to
let's finish up with this.
Okay.
I want to finish up.
Okay.
I want to know where the underwear play into this.
Okay then. And thanks to advances in culinary technology, Camphor predicted it would even be possible to take ordinary objects like old table linens and rayon underwear and bring them to chemical factories to be converted into candy. Oh, nothing says I love you like candy that's been converted in the factory from your old rayon pants. Lovely. Oh, yes, indeed. Number 6 will have personal helicopters.
This is realistic.
It's not too far off, right?
This is starting to happen right now.
Yep. I'm thinking more when we get into the autonomous kind of thing. I reckon it'll take off even more then, Scott. Autonomous copters.
Well, you see these things that they're developing where you have these they look like oversized drones, right? But they can carry a person, and they're going to be taking people around, flying them around, basically like aerial Ubers. You know.
We have got
they're working
Brent
on
Thomas in the chat, your friend, and may I say, since I've got the two E's here for the first time, what a show you guys done. And I really, really mean that. You kept me up all night, Scott. And it was... Seriously, though, dude, I kept on saying one more game because this was really good. And it was one of the shows like we done last night. It went here, there, everywhere. For somebody with scatterbrain like me, my concentration at times, I can lose it. As we all know. I forget what I'm talking about. Yeah. So shows like that, and I think a lot of the audience appreciate it. It's fast flowing, it doesn't get boring, and you never know what's coming next. So to the two of you, that was brilliant. And anyone, you can go and check that out for free over on Paranormal Portal's channel. And you still to go back on there because you guys got into it so much, you didn't even show the photographs, Scott.
I know. We're gonna have to schedule another. We're gonna have to have another date sometime soon, and I'll drop some of that photographic evidence for Brent to check out.
Indeed. So then, let's see who predicted this. Forget jetpacks and flying cars. Popular Mechanics was pretty sure back in 1951 that every family in the 21st century would have at least one helicopter in their garage. Quote, this simple, practical, foolproof personal helicopter coupe is big enough to carry 2 people and small enough to land on your own lawn. They explained it has no carburetor to ice up, no ignition system to fall apart or misfire. Instead, quiet, efficient ramjets keep the rotors moving, burning any kind of fuel from dime-a-gallon stove oil to kerosene up to aviation gasoline. Yes, but then we'd imagine your teenage son would ask to borrow the chopper, and you'd wake up the next day to discover the helicopter stuck in a tree. Uh-oh. Number 7 is interesting. Number 7 is very interesting.
Oh, Oh, number 7. Yes,
Number
this
7 is very interesting. Wait a minute. Stand by for an emergency transmission. White hats to Scott. We're a go for. Where we go one, we go all, Scott. Open the gates at Gitmo. The tunnels are flooded. We're on our way in, Scott. What the heck happened there, dude? You know why that is? That's because C, X, and Q, what a brilliant prediction if this had come true. C, X, and Q will not be a part of the alphabet. If only that prediction had come true. If only.
Wow.
If only.
Very interesting.
So, when you're curious about the future of language, it's going to be quite interesting to see what was said about this infamous letter in the past. You probably should ask somebody other than an engineer about it. And yet, that's what Ladies' Home Journal, that's what the Patriot Soapbox used to be called, did in the 1900s. Asking John Elfrith Watkins Jr., the curator of mechanical technology at the Smithsonian Anon Institute, for his educated guesses about the 21st century. So the man of science had no love for what he considered extraneous letters. Let me just say I have already formed a deep bond for John Elfrith Watkins Jr. I'm a man after his own heart, Scott. Never did I think I would take such a strong dislike to a mere letter of the alphabet. A character, a symbol, a harmless stroke of a pen. But I did. And now, look at this. This guy knew it was coming, dude. He tried to save me from it.
Oh, Mr. John Elfrith Watkins had a seething hatred.
We doff the chalice. The chalice is out, dude. Come on. Aye, the chalice.
Yes.
Oh, dearie me. So then, he boldly predicted. Does that mean he only predicted that the bold versions of these texts would be taken away? Boom, boom. Quote, there will be no C, X, or Q. Wow, that almost sounds like there'll be no sex. Bam, bam, bam. We ain't having any of that. Maybe this guy's going down. C, X, or Q in our everyday alphabet. They will be abandoned because unnecessary. Or could it be? Could it be that in the future, Scott, that letters from our own alphabet become points of contention up there with Mandela Woo? One day a letter's one thing, the next day, what? Would you even notice, though?
Oh, we have somebody in the chat, Kev.
Okay. Oh, no. Look at him. Look. Okay. Remember I spoke to you the other day, Popeye, and we said, oh, so that's like, you've got your own emoji. Look, just to remind you, Popeye. There you go. Look. I would drag him in here, but he's obviously got the spaceship fired up, hasn't he? Hasn't he? You think he has? Is the world ready for him?
If he wants to call in, he wants to join the Skype call, we might be able to arrange that. It's up to you, Kev.
Oh, if Popeye's ready to come in and help us rip apart and have a little bit of creative fun with what's going on this evening, I am more than happy to unleash him on the masses. Well, 140 people, that's massive. I tell you, this close to Christmas, after 2 in the morning in the UK, I'd say that's pretty massive. If Popeye's about, Scott, has he got a camera? Has he? Or is he going all incognito? And is he playing this game again? Is he all like, no, it's a secret broadcast. I'm anonymous. You can't see who I am. I'm important. Look at me, but don't look at me. Is it one of those ones, Scott? Or is he actually in the bunker, Scott? Is this where he is? He might be.
Knows.
I think we should have him on because on Monday I'm actually doing a dedicated show on the topic of Florida Man. And Popeye literally is our very own Florida Man. So I can't think of somebody better to drag in.
What's he saying? He's responding to us in the.
Oh, the studio isn't ready, but I do mobile. See, this is what he does, folks. He makes it all exciting and I'm like on a tight schedule, but I can just about fit you in. Oh, come on, Popeye. The first rule of being Popeye is just being Popeye.
I'm going to drag him in.
Do it, Scott. Do it.
And we'll see what happens.
He gets his own music. He gets his Florida Man music. No, folks. All joking aside. Let's see now. Did you kill the Skype, Scott? You did.
Did I?
Scott Lopez. There he is. He's back. Now you're back. See? Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. There's Popeye now. Popeye, I will go and get your picture so that people can look at your absolutely well-chiseled dome. How you doing, brother?
You're just jealous of my epic beard.
Popeye, you know that myself and in particular people far younger than me love your beard, and we know you grew it for that reason, didn't you?
Yeah, that and because my two granddaughters love my beard. One of them, when I pick her up and I carry her, she holds it like a handle.
Almost proving my point, sir. Almost proving my point. What I was. How you doing then, Florida Man? What's been going on, Popeye?
I'm doing okay. You could, Scott can back me up on this. It's a little echoey in here right now. I still don't have the.
I thought you were actually just guilty of some of my effects. I'm in my bunker as well, Popeye. I will speak to you from the KBS command center.
I like that.
Yeah,
no, I haven't put the foam up on the walls in here yet, so it's still kind of a little echoey. But Scott has seen the command center coming to fruition. He saw the beast. I sent him a picture of it earlier.
Foam walls? I thought we were talking to Joseph Fritzl live from Austria at one point there, but fresh from his new build of a cellar somewhere. You know?
No, I have. You remember my old studio, you tard? I had like soundproofing foam on the walls and everything. I took all that stuff down when I sold my house. I took it with me. I wasn't leaving that up. The people that bought my place.
For 1 minute, I thought I was going to say, you remember my old cellar, Kev, which would have sounded totally dodgy, right?
Kev, you remember my basement, right? With the chains and shit on the wall. You remember all that, right?
Vividly, but call me Gimp. Call me Gimp if we're going to play that game again, Popeye. So then, listen, we're going over some of the predictions that didn't come true about 2020. Next up, we will have both telepathy and teleportation. And it says Michael J. O'Farrell, founder of the Mobile Institute, has been an expert in the technology industry since 1985. But even the experts can make mistakes. In 2014, in his 2014 book, Shift 2020, O'Farrell predicted that 2020 will be the dawn of the nano-mobility era. In the pending nano-mobility era, I predict that telepathy and teleportation will become possible by the year 2020, and with both commonplace by 2040. Well, we'll have to believe it when we see it now. With Neuralink around the corner, I think this guy wasn't too far off. It might not be telepathy per se, but the artificial way of maybe hooking ourselves up and communicating, definitely right here.
Yeah, I think like he's not too far off on this prediction, because I mean we are getting pretty close to sort of this humans being augmented with technology and stuff like that. And we like you said, we have Neuralink coming, and I think that we're going to see this massive like boost in our ability to utilize our brain to do things. So like sending emails or messaging just with our thoughts probably would be pretty possible. You know, it would be a plausible thing that we would probably see, I would say, at least within the next 5 to 10 years.
What do you reckon, Popeye? Yes. Now he's just sitting there thinking, dang, I missed that, but what were they talking about?
No, I was in the chat part trying to get back because it's on mobile Skype, so it takes a second to like get the screen to go back over.
Well, it does indeed, it does. But yeah, telepathy.
I'm a little weirded out by. Okay, so you guys had remember I had taken a lot of time off, right? So you guys told me about like one of the first times I came back on air with you, probably like about a year ago now.
Yeah.
You guys told me about the whole deep fake thing, and I was like, that stuff has got to be being released by some, unknown alphabet agency, because why would they, like that kind. I know the private sector can come up with that kind of stuff, but I know how, Napster worked. All that kind of stuff was released by the music industry years before to try to create a problem, and then they already had the solution to the problem, which was they wanted to like stop streaming. Remember, they didn't even want to go. They didn't want to do streaming. I mean, I remember when streaming was taboo. You weren't, same thing with VCRs. By the way, when VCRs first came out,
you can do deepfake with that computer you've got now. No problem at all.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Scott's done it. I've done it to a certain extent before I got the new graphics card, and it took longer. But yeah, this is the thing. And whoever came up with it, and this is going to be a real and present problem now. It really is. It's never going to go away, Popeye.
The reason why I say that they're the ones, they being the powers that shouldn't be, are the ones that are like, I guess you could say they've released that technology into the wild. The reason I say that is because the best reason for doing so, Kev, would be to create the idea that videos are fake and that you can easily debunk anything now. It's just like the whole idea of creating the flat earth movement, because they used to compare 9/11 truthers to flat earthers. And people were like, I don't believe the earth is flat. What are you, an idiot? Right? So then you'd be able to easily shoot down that insult and that attack, that ad hominem attack on you. You can't do that now because there's actually people that run around and think that the earth is flat. And they'll fight you on it. You're a globalist or whatever the frig they call you now if you believe that the earth is round, which again, really you could just destroy that whole argument with who benefits from this. Who benefits from convincing everybody that we all thought it was flat, right? And then we were like, oh no, the earth is round. Why would they do this massive campaign of lies? Why? To what end? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, unless you look at it like the PSYOP, then it makes total sense. Okay, so it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Q and all this other shit. It's to get people to pay attention to an obvious straw man, an argument that's easily defeated. A red herring. A red herring is a fake, false lead. This is more of a straw man argument. It's a fake argument. It's a false paradigm that can be easily built up and get lots of attention to it, and then that can be just as easily shot down and destroyed.
I'm just getting ready to ring a bell. I thought you were going to come out with the drinking game keyword. I thought I was going to have to...
Logical fallacy. There you go.
Ding, cha-ching, cheers, Popeye. I'll be having a Tennessee finest for you. Now, Popeye has a YouTube channel, as you can see on the screen here, not to be mistaken with somebody by a similar name who covers that topic that Popeye was just talking about. And I find it somewhat hilarious that in your absence, Popeye, the one topic that really gets on your goat the most, somebody came up with a channel that's almost identical to yours, and it makes me laugh. I'm sorry, dude, but that's how we roll on here.
No, I know people are retarded. That's cool. That's for my show. When I come back on air, dude, things like that, whatever. It'll just get blown by the wayside. I'm not really worried about it. Besides, the name of the show is going to be a little different than what it was. I mean, it's still going to be Rabbit Hole, but it's not going to be Down the Rabbit Hole. It's just Rabbit Hole Radio.
Is it Up Your Rabbit Hole?
Nigga, up your rabbit hole. Stick it up your rabbit hole. I'm tired of your crap.
There you go. So we'll go on to the next one then. All roads, or now this is interesting. All roads will become tubes. Now bear in mind Elon Musk and his extremely boring tunneling company. It says if you're sick of asphalt roads and all the potholes that come with them, then you'll wish Popular Mechanics was right about this prediction for the 21st century. In a 1957 article, the magazine predicted that every road and street in America will be replaced by a network of pneumatic tubes. And your car would only need enough power to get from your home to the nearest tube. This is quite stunningly accurate when you think about it, Scotty.
Wow.
Then, by the calculations of a Honeywell engineer, quote, they will be pneumatically powered to any desired destination. Boom.
Wow, that pretty much to a T describes.
Apart from the maglev,
Swans.
apart from the kind of the shuttle kind of the way they do it. Wow.
I mean, but it still describes the same thing.
Yeah.
You drive your car to the tube, you park it in there, and then it transports your vehicle. You know, so
you know what
that's
I like about that technology, guys? The fact that when these tunnels are being made, all the dirt, everything that's been tunneled out of there, what Musk has been doing in the LA test tunnel is it's a machine that makes bricks. And then if you're like a charity or some kind of you're building cheap housing or something like that, you can buy these breeze blocks for like, I think it was 10 cents. Do you know what I mean? All of it, nothing goes to waste is my point. And I don't know, going down underground, we're never going to get our floating cars, flying cars. It ain't going to be a thing. I wish it was. But I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the flying car thing, I don't think is going to really, pardon the pun, I don't think that's really going to take off. But I do see more of this sort of underground tunnel transportation being the way to go. And, you know, Musk himself said, okay, the flying car thing, there's a lot of issues with that. One of the main ones is noise pollution. I mean, if you have thousands of cars traveling above a city, the amount of noise pollution that's going to create is going to be absolutely overwhelming. I mean, it's bad enough just living by an airport, right? And most of these flying car designs that we have right now are basically scaled up drones. You know,
look at
like
that thing. Look, I mean, in the background, people are seeing this. I don't know if you can see it, Popeye, but this is like Musk's thing doing its thing, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, Popeye, let me ask you, right? What do you think of Elon Musk, dude? Bad guy? Good guy? On the fence?
I think the dude's an alien. I think he's cool. Whatever. I like Elon. We used to be able to see them launching the stuff from Kennedy Space Center in my backyard where I used to live. We used to be able to see them going right up.
Popeye.
We used to go out and watch them. The fake rocket launches.
Popeye, you know how Anne already has like sexual feelings towards you? I think now I've got sexual feelings towards you. I'm a big Elon man, and I come in for some heavy shtick. I love the way he thinks. He's so out there.
He's a smart dude, bro. Whatever, you know?
Exactly, dude. I can't see where he's harmed anyone physically or violently, and I would say he's a game changer. He's the kind of person we need going into the future. But everyone's got their own opinion. Number 10, nobody will work and everybody will be rich. Yeah. Cheers for that. 1966 Time magazine reported that the 21st century will be a pretty awesome economic area for just about everybody. In an essay called The Futurists, they predicted machines will be producing so much that everyone in the US will, in effect, be independently wealthy. That could be the case for every country in the world, but it ain't. Without even lifting a finger, the average non-working family could expect to earn an average salary of between $30,000 and $40,000, according to Time. That's in 1966 dollars. Mind you, in 2020, that'd be about $300,000 for doing nothing. I know the basic universal basic income's talked about, but I don't think we'll be getting that much a month, eh?
Yeah, and I mean, look, obviously this is an issue, right? Like, the robots taking everyone's jobs, and
Does that necessarily need to be a bad thing, Scott? Shouldn't we have enough, like,
No.
more time to ourselves if there's a way of... It needs a totally different way of thinking, though, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
automation is going to be like if we want to get out of kindergarten galactically, right? And we'd like to like maybe level up with other planets. You know, oh Popeye, are you saying that there's people on other planets or living beings? Yes, I am. I'm also saying that you'd be arrogant and super ignorant to think otherwise. If you think that mankind is the epitome of life in the entire universe and multiverse, please, check, please. I'm out because I want nothing to do with anyone that thinks like that. Sorry, that's why I live in the woods. Because the general society is like so unplugged right now from reality, and I know it's been done on purpose, but let's be real. There are other beings and other life forms in the universe. Okay, Occam's razor. Logic would dictate that there is. We are not the top of the food chain. We are like galactic infants. We are in kindergarten. And I wouldn't let us play with anything. That's why the Van Allen radiation belts are there. Because they're like, you know what? The humans, we really can't let them get too far into outer space yet. Look, they can't get along, and they can't stop fighting over sand. And whose imaginary friend is better? Okay? I mean, I believe that there's a creative force and a creative energy. It's kind of sarcastic when I say whoever's imaginary friend, because that's what, if you look at it from like you step back and you unplug emotionally and politically and religiously, and you just look at things through pure logic with no emotion, you look at it, you're like, wow, people are fighting over whose version of their imaginary friend is better. That's what religious wars are. We kill each other over a concept that we can't agree on. You can't tell me that's not primitive. That's like the most primitive you can get. That's what we do. We fight over stupid things like that. Yep. We fight over sand. Well, this piece of sand was given to me by my imaginary friend. No, my imaginary friend gave it to me. How about you're all wrong? How about you're all just being stupid? How about it was probably aliens that you all thought were gods, and maybe they were like, maybe the knowledge that they had, they acted as an intermediary between whatever creative force actually did create us, because even the Anunnaki had to come from somewhere, right? If you believe the Anunnaki stories. So even they had to come from somewhere, their essence. So yes, there is an energy that we're all part of, a Godhead, maybe like a God energy, whatever you want to call it. We're all part of that knowledge and that infinite energy and wisdom and truth. But let's be real. Like nowhere did that energy that created us then put itself into a physical form of an old man with a beard sitting on a throne and go, "Thou shalt kill other people that don't believe in what I tell them to believe," and hit his staff on the ground. I mean, have you ever? The Old Testament God is the most angry God I've ever met. You know, and other religions too, not just Christianity. All religions. Why does God always have to be pissed off and want to kill people? That's like this ongoing thing. Well, the gods must be angry. Where does that come from? That comes from them, the ancient peoples, being them, seeing people come from outer space. Because the sky eventually leads to outer space, right? So people from outer space came down to the earth. Isn't that what the Anunnaki actually means, the word? Right? Those two from heaven to earth came, something to that effect.
See, Popeye,
so they come down and people mistake them for gods, and boom, you know, now we're where we are now. Everyone's arguing over which version of that thing that came out of the sky in a flying saucer is better.
It's okay, because that guy that wears the funny dress and the cool slippers and the crazy hats over in Rome, he's cool because he told out the world that it's not an angry god anymore, it's a woke god, and it's like, you know, woke god's a whole lot different. He's even going to baptize the aliens, Popeye.
So what pronoun does God go by then?
They.
And will I get sued if I don't use the proper pronoun?
Because I'm going out in the UK and I live in an Orwellian wonderland, I'll probably get sued for thinking about the fact I should probably tell you not to say that. Because thought crimes are a thing over here now, you know?
Yeah, I know. And I actually saw an article today, and I thought of how I was like, I should show this to Kev. Because
Because Scott, tell him.
Nike's getting sued. Nike's getting sued by a tea person.
Not so close to Christmas. Not so close to Christmas. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't trigger me.
I'm just. Let's see. I'll have to. How YouTube proof can I make this?
Don't trigger me. Don't trigger me.
Individual is suing Nike because they didn't get their proper pronoun wasn't used by their coworkers and by Nike or whatever, and they were upset. And they weren't even like directly working for Nike. They were like some second, third, party contractor that was brought in, and they just, oh God, it's so hard.
You see Popeye.
Kev's just beeping himself.
There. You couldn't hear any of that.
See, Kev wasn't upset because because of the algorithms. He was upset because he knew the impending trigger was about to hit him.
Dude, I'm the worst, man. I've fallen into this kind of. I feel the need to stand up for our old moral values and reality, just reality in general, just to stand in the face of blatant insanity where biology doesn't count anymore over the random idea of somebody that thinks they're a traffic cone one day and a camel the next. There should be no obligation on anyone to think anybody kicking about with a beard goes by the name of she or they or anything else. That's a dude in any man's book. I don't care if it's a mothman or a mothmam. You're a he, him, it, whatever you are, deal with it. There should be no obligation. Absolutely none. And if you happen to misgender somebody, you didn't do it purposely. If they weren't walking about with a beard and a big bulge in the first place, maybe you wouldn't have made that horrible offensive assumption that possibly they might be a dude. That's on them, it isn't on you. But I'm glad it's not a topic that I feel any kind of I don't really have any feelings on that, Scott, to be honest with you.
No, you have no feelings whatsoever towards that topic. You're totally neutral. You're totally neutral on it.
I'm totally on the fence with it. What do you? So moving on. Moving on.
I just think it's so stupid, dude. And obviously people are, whatever. I'll say it for you. There's only two genders. Okay. Scientifically speaking, I don't care what you believe in. Personally, that's great. That you could believe. People don't have to believe that gravity is real either. But if you jump off the roof of a building, science will show you how real it is. Okay.
Popeye.
Reality will show you how real it is.
Popeye.
So
there's 100 in the UK. There's 100 in the UK, and we recognise all of them equally and lovingly over here in the UK, sir. Yes, indeed.
Well, I don't care what people
100.
identify as. They're free to do so. As a sovereign individual, our creator, that's what the founding fathers believed. The creator, our creative energy, our God, whatever you want to call it, endowed us with inalienable rights, meaning you cannot take them away. Some king cannot come along and say, well, I am sovereign and I'm going to rule over you. No, you can't do that. We're all equal. Doesn't matter what kind of crown you put on your head. You can prance around and say, I'm a Windsor, or I'm a Saxe-Gotha evil reptile, whatever. See, you can't. I can say that. I'm in America, by the way. So you can't do nothing. Nah. Okay, send Prince Charles over here. What's he going to do? By the way, can I point something out? The hypocrisy of Prince Charles being like, I'm going to give my brother a talking to. Really? You were Jimmy Savile's, best friend. That guy is a pedophile piece of crap. You're one to talk. Those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, Charles. Shut up. Seriously, I have no love for your king or queen or whatever the hell they're. The prince and the queen.
Oh, Popeye, and you honestly think I do?
No, I know you don't, but you have to watch what you say. I don't.
No, I don't mind. I swore an oath to her at one point. I wish I knew back then what I know now. Let me just say that. I'm still very proud that I served my country, but the fact I had to go through that rigmarole, that's something I wish I could take back. But obviously, that was just being Scottish alone was quite a hard
What
pill
was
to
it called?
swallow.
What was your job called? The stool. You're
The
the
groom
one
of
that.
the yes, the groom of the
Yeah, that's what it
stool.
is. The groom of the stool.
Yeah.
That's what Kev did, ladies and gentlemen. He actually went-
Excuse me, Popeye, but it's right hand Monday to Saturday, and then on the Sunday it's the left hand of the groom of the stool where I stepped in. Yes, indeed, sir. One up, one down, spit, and one to polish, sir. That's it, done.
Oh my god, I can't believe that there's actually somebody that does that. Like, what do you do, bro? I like the Queen's ass.
Is there still a
Awesome.
dude that has that job? Surely there isn't a dude now. Surely there's like a robot hand that can do that for that old reptilian. Surely to goodness.
They probably cut off Jimmy Savile's hand and mummified.
Oh, God. The claw. Just imagine a hand coming out the gold toilet. No, what have you done, Popeye? Oh, dear Lord. Number
now
11.
I gave you a
Now, hang
mental
on.
picture you don't ever want ever again.
Right,
in
we're
your
not going to
life.
stay here too long, right? So I'm going to rattle through these without reading them. Number 11, mail sent by rocket. Number 12 will finally make it to Mars, almost.
Almost.
Number 13. Woman, I'm not a man, I'm a man. We'll all be built like wrestlers. I think we kind of covered that a moment ago. Number 14, we'll wear antenna hats and disposable socks. Number 15, everything, even baby cradles, will be made out of steel. And then we've got, that was Thomas Edison that said that. Wow. Number 16, we'll all be able to vote electronically from home. Pretty close.
Pretty close.
It doesn't matter where you vote from, it's always going to be rigged anyway. So number 17, everyone will stop drinking coffee and tea. How dare you? In a horrible, twisted other dimension, you stop drinking tea and coffee. And that was Nikola Tesla. Oh. Number 18, there will be blood banks for teeth. No, but there's places called Ambrosia where you can literally get the blood of the young to help yourself stay young. Not that that's like a vampire or anything. Number 19, everyone will be a vegetarian. Scott, I know you love the vegan lifestyle that you live so religiously, right?
I can tell you this. So my 4 stepdaughters are vegans. They went through that like hardcore vegan stage. Sometimes I've gotten each one of them, except for one of 2 of them. I've gotten 2 out of the 4 to have hamburgers with me, and they love them, and eat meat with me at one point, and they loved it. And I can tell you that as they're getting older, once in a while they'll dabble into meat. And one of the girls has, obviously I have 2 granddaughters, and the babies are not vegetarian at all. They get fed a full, because she knows that the babies need a full, range of different types of proteins and amino acids and everything to grow. So she doesn't stunt the children. I'm very proud of her for that. That's why I bring this up, because a lot of people that are vegans, they go nuts, and they my child hasn't, or my dog and cat are vegan too. Newsflash. Just because you want to live a lifestyle, don't force it on anybody else. But I can say that they did get me to eat a lot less chicken. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but
I do like vegetables. I just don't like the idea of like being told what to eat. I like a mixed diet. I like lots of veg. Sometimes like my steaks. I'll go anywhere, man.
I just used for the first time? I just made vegetable soup / rice for Tina and I, because the 2 of us are sick, so we just needed something light. And I bought us one of those Instapot things for Christmas. I don't know if you've ever seen these things, Scott. You've probably seen them on a commercial form or something, or seen them online.
There's people in my chat room absolutely beside themselves, because it's almost like on the night where we're looking at predictions from the past about the future, it's like we're going back to the past ourselves. We had a marathon Freaky Friday last night, and now people for the first time in a long time are getting to hear Popeye again. And people for the first time ever, Scott, are getting to hear this mad crazy dude from Florida called Popeye. Oh, it's like
Well,
we're in a
just wait,
but
because
Popeye, it's like a time loop. It's almost like a little
just wait,
time loop
because
we're
if
in.
you think it's cool hearing me call in on my mobile Skype on my cell phone, just wait till I get this beast that I've got my hands on. Just so people know what we're talking about, we don't have literally a beast that we're going to unleash on the world, right?
Is it true that you've got a chronovisor plugged into that rig, Popeye?
Dude, I could. I told Scott, the guy that one of my hacker friends, ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons I haven't been on air is because after taking time off, during the course of taking time off, my computer that I used to broadcast and video edit and everything died.
Was Q. Popeye was Q.
Yeah, I was Q, so that's really why I wasn't around. But now I've passed the mantle on to other people.
Yeah, well, we go one, we go
they're
Popeye.
taking it up well. What'd you say, Q Beans? What?
Where we go one, we go Popeye.
So, long story short, I got a new computer donated to me by a hacker friend of mine, and it's a massive beast. I don't know if I told you, Kev, but he had a satellite card in this thing. He was hacking satellites with it.
Yeah, man, you mentioned that, dude. You mentioned it. I can just picture you getting SWAT teamed one of these broadcasts. You do.
That's cool. I took all everything that was bad in it is gone. He just donated the hardware.
Hang on, right? We're gonna fire through the end of these things, and I'll get a quick chat with you, right? So we had the vegetarian 120. Also, eating will no longer be necessary. Maybe for Geordie's robots that are about to come. That'll Ray Kurzweil, creepy futurist. 21 will have robots as therapists. That's definitely coming. Definitely coming. And number 22, vacuums will be nuclear powered. Dang, we should be learning more about pulling maybe energy from the vacuum and the other dimensions around us. Just saying. And last but not least, 23, there'll be no need for futurists to predict the future. They thought we would be there. Oh, little did they know. Little did they know. So yeah, I thought that was a really good kind of article. Gives us a little taste of what people thought way back into the past, and the Rand Corporation thinking that apes would work for us and be our chauffeurs in 2020. That was quite an eye-opener. But Popeye, let me ask you first. What crazy stuff do you see around the corner in 2020? And it can be fun, it can be serious. Go where you want with it, man.
Okay, well, one of my first predictions is that in the future, people will start using this thing called a brain. It's this neat thing. We're all actually born with it. It's up in our heads. And I foresee that eventually people are going to start using it to think. Hopefully.
So,
I'm
Scotty,
kidding, of course.
So, well, Scotty, what's your number one thing for next year? Funny, serious, apocalyptic, otherwise?
Next year, so just this coming year.
Yeah, just the coming year, just the coming year.
I think we're going to see a huge explosion in VR and AR.
Did you see the word explosion? Boop, boop, boop.
That's okay.
This is
That's okay.
DHS.
That's okay. That's okay.
It's okay. Oh, no, that's the wrong one.
Is that it? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Emergency transmission, Popeye. It's okay. It's okay. We know you are Q. Where we go, Popeye, we go all.
If you're here, Kev, can you say something with that voice filter on? Say, if you're hearing this, you are the resistance.
If you are hearing this, you are the resistance. The answer to 1984 is alcohol.
The
Yes,
answer
indeed.
to 1984 is 1995 plus shipping and handling.
Well, I'm looking forward to next year. The one thing that I'm really anticipating is, and people are going to hate me for it, it's okay because people already hate me for my 5G show, but the Neuralink, that coming, either the human trial or the first commercial version of people literally taking brain chips, But let me add on to that. I'm not naive to where this could lead in a nightmare scenario. At the same time, I like Elon Musk because I think he knows this genie's out the bottle, and he's trying to think of a way to make sure that worst case scenario doesn't happen. And if that means in some way we have to, or some of us have to merge with the damn thing, then that's his opinion. That's the way he's going about it. I don't think he's that bad guy sitting on an island with the mad, crazy cat stroking it, world domination in his mind. I think he's seen the AI in the way it is right now, not the AI that we've seen. He kicks about with some of the top people in Silicon Valley and beyond, folks. So he's probably seen the most up-to-date artificial general intelligence, and he sees where it's going. So it's going to be really interesting not only to see where that goes, but for people who need it for health issues. I know people say, but Kev, that's just how they market it. That's just the carrot on the stick. Well, if you're one of those people that's going to benefit from that, you go and tell that person you can't have it because it's just a marketing ploy. We're just going to deny you that. I don't know. I think that's a big change that we're coming up on.
I also have another prediction, and I'm going to trigger a lot of people.
Oh, nice.
I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. He's going to be your president again.
Can I back you up on that? I would agree with that. Popeye, is Broomstick 1 going to come to the rescue, or Orange Man bad, as the media say, for 2020?
I'd be willing to bet they're going to put Hillary Clinton up again. I don't know, man. It's like
I said this to you a while ago.
Second run.
I said to Scott a while ago, Scott, I'm getting feelings, dude. And now Clyde Lewis was saying she's been away getting some work on her face.
I agree. I think that she's gonna roll in, try to be the dark horse, and
Nancy Pelosi, she's gonna be there, like hanging onto the back of Broomstick 1, still dressed in black. And what's wrong with that chick, dude?
So I have a totally different take on this. Right? I could do a whole broadcast just on this topic. And I could drag it out and give you the long version. That's for a whole different show.
Yeah, but Scott,
what if I told you this is all a charade?
All of it is, Popeye. All of it is.
Everything. I mean, for real, like the whole impeachment thing, it's a joke. And like you have to make it as real as possible to get that many people involved in it and to create such a spectacle. But the people behind the scenes that control the real levers of power understand that it's kabuki theater. It's they say Trump plays 3D chess. Well, newsflash, but the powers that shouldn't be have been playing 3D chess for a very long time. Okay, and more than just just in more than 3 dimensions. They play I would say they play in, probably using an occult favorite number, probably 13 levels at the very least, if not even more. Okay, that's why things have so many different angles to it. There's always different connections. That's how they do things. I forget the guy's name. He was at the Council of World's Bad.
Sounds like Popeye's on the same radio net as me. Stand by, Popeye. 3, 2, 1, go. Launch Operation Candy Band, Scott. Where we go, Popeye, we go all.
Operation Candy Pants.
It ties in with an earlier part of the story. You had to be here, Popeye. It's okay. But I think it's great that you're coming back on air, dude. I don't want to stay too much longer. I know Scott's wanting to get to bed. I want to get to bed. Everyone out there wants to get to bed. But, dude, you have to come on back more often. I do shows during the day. I give Scott, I take the gag off Scott. The running joke is I'm not a Russian agent anymore. I'm some kind of handler that censors Scott Lopez. So on a Thursday, I kind of let him off the hook. I tease him now and again when he goes too far off reservation. But I could bring you on a Thursday as well, dude, until you find a network or wherever you find a home for the rabbit hole.
Well, you'll all be happy to know that a friend of mine is currently helping me build a site. In fact, I think he's actually constructing it while I'm talking to you. And he, he also donated me a computer, that, you know, is probably way more than what I need, but I could probably mine Bitcoin and live stream at the same time with this thing.
And look, he's always showing. It's all about the size of his tool with Popeye. Look what I can do with my one. Look. Yeah.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited because for years I operated with stuff that was patched together. You know, I had a couple listeners that, like, when my computer died, I think it was 3 times it died on me, and listeners donated to either get me a couple hard drives or a new video card when my video card fried. Like, it just gave up the ghost while rendering a video one day. It was just like, oh, by the way, I quit. And it was done. So, like, I didn't have, over the years I patched my computer together, but finally, yeah, it couldn't keep up with demand for what all this new stuff requires. I mean, dude, there's a lot of new software out there from when we started doing radio. So you need something decent size. So I've been super happy about this thing for like the past 3 days, but it's nice to have a computer that is powerful and we can actually do something with compared to back in the day when we had our hands tied behind our back and we were still pulling off miracles. You know what I mean?
Scotty, you're next to get your one done up tomorrow, man.
Yep. I'm getting my big upgrade done tomorrow morning, and so yeah, we're all getting back in the saddle.
And
it's time. It's just how it works out like that sometimes.
A year ago, Popeye, right? A year ago, myself and Scotty and that, we started to play about with the old streaming thing. I really didn't think I would get into it, but started to get the bug for it, but didn't have the machine for it. And then I got the upgrade that you're talking about. I got the Omen, the HP Omen. And then thanks to one of our brilliant supporters of the show, I was able to get a new graphics card, the 2600 Super, the NVIDIA one. So I think now it's almost as if we've all upgraded right around the same time for this next big push to guide us through the apocalypse.
It was a synchronicity.
Yeah.
It seems like all came together and we're all getting our upgrades at the same time, and so that's just the universe telling us, that's the universe kicking us in the ass and telling us, hey, time to take it to the next level.
It's time to get the band back together.
Exactly. You know, it makes me feel like there must be something around the corner for 2020, folks. I'm going to wrap things up now, but I'm not pessimistic anymore. And I'm definitely not half as pessimistic as I used to be on my shows. And I think it's important that we all stay positive. Because what thoughts we throw out there into the universe, they might seem throwaway at times, but it's a whole lot easier to smile with your face than it is to be frowning and be, you know, angry and fearful. And what you put out there, you get back. You think Mercury retrograde's coming for you? Don't be surprised when it does. Point being, be positive. 2020, it's another year. It's not going to be the end of anything. Might be the start of a lot of new things, though. And all I know is we won't fix the world. There's no doing that. But we might be able to change the world of people round about us. And either way, we'll all be here riding shotgun on the craziest stream as we guide you through the apocalypse. So I'll give Popeye one last word, Scotty one last word, and then we're out of here, gents.
Well, Kev, to play off what you said, you create your own reality. Quantum physics even dictates that. So if you go out there and there are real things. I'm not saying danger doesn't exist, right? All right, there are bad things. Bad things do exist. Dangerous, evil things do exist. But if you focus your intent and power on those objects, you are giving your intent and power to them. That's the whole point of these symbols and why it's in your face all the time and why there's pyramids all over the place and all this other crap. It's so you focus on it and you're putting your energy into their symbolism and feeding it. Now, what that does, we still have a lot more research to do, right? Quantumly. But we know that quantum physics dictates that we create our own reality. So if you want a better reality, a better world, it's an ever-flowing thing. Instead of thinking like it's a static object that's broken and needs to be repaired, what if it's an ever-flowing river like a wave. And all you need to do is change the rhythm and the vibration of that wave pattern from fear to love. And that's how you change the world for a better place. Stop hating so much. Stop fighting so much. Don't be so pissed off and quick to get mad at somebody and disagree, even if they disagree with something you say. Like Kev was saying, he got some anger because of his stance on 5G. People, we're all going to disagree. That's how we learn. It's better that I'd rather live in a world where everybody disagreed, but debated logically without using emotion, than live in a world where everybody marched lockstep in their beliefs and never challenged anything. That's not living, that's not experiencing, and that's not growing. So kudos to you, Kev, for being brave enough to have a thought that might be different than other people. And ladies and gentlemen, don't hate on him because he has a different opinion, or anybody else, or each other. I might make jokes about flat earth and stuff like that, but I don't hate those people. I respect the fact that they at least are trying to think outside the box, right? I can find a positive in every one of those things. So just try to put that positive energy and love out there, and that'll make the world a better place.
Well said, Popeye.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I really don't have much to add to that other than the fact that, this seems like a thing that, over the past, 2-3 years, Kev, I mean, this is something that we've been doing where we've been shifting from focusing on the negative so much to looking at both sides, and looking at the positive aspects of things and trying to have a more sort of balanced approach towards a lot of these topics, right? Because, we could very easily feed into people's fear fetish, right?
Oh, the clicks would be amazing. We'd have 10 times the audience, but I wouldn't be honest. You wouldn't be honest. Popeye wouldn't be honest.
Exactly. And so, when it comes to a lot of the stuff, that's sort of the stance we've been taking. Okay, what are the positive benefits of this, as well as the negative benefits? You got to look at both sides, with an objective, view, and and then just like Popeye said, just like you and Popeye said, we kind of manifest our own reality, and what the energy we put out there is the energy we get back, and so if you're going to always put out a fear vibe and you're always going to put out a negative vibe, well, then you're going to be manifesting those vibes around yourself, and that's not a healthy thing to do, so.
No, absolutely.
Things day by day, man.
Exactly, day by day.
Well, that's what be the change actually means. All right, it's tattooed on the side of my neck, and why I push that so hard. If you really want the world to change for a better place, then go do it. Sitting in your office chair or sitting at your computer and wishing for the people on the internet that you listen to do it for you is not going to solve it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are, if you look at it like the Matrix, I said this 1,000 times, what Kev does, what Scott does, what Joe Joseph does, what I've done in the past, and when I come on air I do, is we are like Morpheus. We are just trying to wake you up. You are Neo. You are the one. That's what Neo stands for. Neo, one. That is you, ladies and gentlemen. You're the superheroes that you've been looking for your whole lives to come help you out of a bad situation or whatever it may be. You're the superhero. You have to believe in yourself. The powers that shouldn't be, take that away from you. That's how they control you. That's how everything else affects you, is they take away your own confidence in yourself. They take away the belief in yourself and the understanding that you really are the superheroes that you've been looking for. So if you want the world to be a better place, if you want all this insanity to stop, then we have to go do something. And it doesn't mean going out and marching in streets, because that's part of the problem. We need to, if you want to solve a problem, you need to think differently, okay? You can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created the problem. So you have to think outside the box, because thinking in that same circular logic is just going to keep creating the same level of problem, okay? So we have to stop that break the cycle and think outside the box.
Popeye, you know we bust each other's balls all the time, dude, but that's only because we truly do actually respect and like each other. I'm not just saying this to blow smoke up your tuchus, but I'm really glad you're coming back, dude. Things have got crazy round these parts, and I'm talking about, oh, thank you so much. Now there's a super chat, yes, Dancing Kev. Oh, where's the man? Oh, hang on. Now, why have we got no Brian? What's happened there, Scott?
Nothing was written in the chat or written in the super chat.
That's
so
okay then. That's why Brian didn't pipe up. Right, no, but Popeye, I'm glad we're getting you back, dude. Scotty, this has been a blast tonight. We had a bit of fun with that prediction show, and then Popeye turning up just totally took it to the next level. We'll be back tomorrow, folks. It's going to be the Christmas special stream right here on the Kev Baker Show. Weekend live. Maybe Popeye will grace us with some presents. We never know. But until tomorrow, you know what I'm going to do now? Instead of me butchering it, keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Q1 to Scott, Q1 to Scott, objective complete. The tunnels are flooded, Gitmo is full. Transmission complete, out. Next transmission, same time, same place, tomorrow.